Guys, today we are going to be cleaning this koi pond here behind me. We actually don't have fish in here because last year we had the red tide that came through and we live really close to the beach, to the ocean. So the red tide kind of got in the air and eventually killed all of our fish last year. So we're actually just going to clean it out and restart the pond with some fresh fish and rebalance the pond from that. But if you do have fish in your koi pond, before you start cleaning it, is what you're going to want to have is you're going to want to have one of these little dollar store fish nets or another net that you have to help get the fish out of the pond. So you're going to want to scoop the water out of the pond first and put it into this bucket and fill it up, you know, however many fish you have, however deep it needs to be, maybe half to 3/4 full. And then you're going to go ahead and catch the fish, scoop the fish out, get them and get them into this bucket so they can be kind of still in their same element, the water that they're in. Once we get it all cleaned, the pond, we are going to go ahead and I like to use this stress coat. You can kind of see stress coat. They also have a Pond Start that you can use, a product by the same company. There's a lot of different brands. Just go to any of your local pet stores and pick these things up. And then the Simply Clear is something I use throughout the year to just kind of maintain so it doesn't get as dirty as it was. So let's go. Okay, so we're cleaning this koi pond out and we're using this wet dry vac. And then we're just dumping this, filling it, and essentially dumping it out. Doing this until we get everything out of there. Okay, now that we got most of the water out of the pond, including a lot of the debris, we tried to vacuum all the debris out of there. We're going to pull this filter, take that out and clean that. This particular pond also has that filter in the pond, but then over here on the back side, we also have another filter. And this is a 3-tier filter that filters down this rock here into the pond. All right, now we're going to clean this filter out, take these screens out. So this particular one has 3 screens. And it's got these little pieces in the bottom. So we're going to take all that out. Okay, and then we're just going to go in there with a pressure washer or a hose and just kind of rinse off everything inside of the pond. And we're just going to reuse the wet dry vac one more time and suck out all that we rinsed down into the bottom of the pond. Get around all those little rocks. We'll get it as clean as we can before we restart it. Okay, so this is the filter from the 3 filters from the back of the rock. We just rinse those till they kind of ran clear. Set those aside. And then these are the little bottom of the back bowl. Rinse those out. Same thing with these filters. And then these are the other little filters right here. Rinse those off. And then this piece here, this is just the filter. I'm gonna rinse that out, even though it's pretty clean. Okay, so now we're just gonna take this filter and put it back in this box. It goes like this, and the cord kind of fits it right in there. And then in the bottom of this, these little guys go in here. You want to make sure that's square. You kind of see what's going on there. This guy's back in here. Can you see what's going on here? Okay, and I'm going to put these guys back in here. I'm gonna have to work in there a little bit. And this guy goes up on top. Okay, so this is ready to go back in the pond. Okay, now we're gonna fill this back up with these guys. Let's go back to the bottom. They're all nice and clean. And then we're going to put these filters back on here. Okay. You kind of see what's going on in there, so you're layering them. It gives a nice filtration system for the pond. And that's pretty much it. This is kind of an older bucket. It used to have a nice cover on it, and then this water bubbled out here, but it still works just as well. You can always go to the pond store and buy something that looks a little more nice, I guess. Okay, so now we got to reattach this hose. This hose is the one that goes back up to the fountain. So we can put that in there, and we're just going to put it back over here where it was. And that's about it. Okay, now we're just going to go ahead and refill the pond with water. And once this filter's got water in it, it'll settle back down where it belongs. All right, then as I'm continuing to fill the pond, I catch out the bigger debris, little leaves and larger things I might have missed. Still kind of got a decent amount of things out of there. All right, now once we get it filled, we'll turn the pond back on. All right, pond's almost full. Okay, now that we have the pond all cleaned and refilled, we let the pumps run for at least 3 days to kind of aerate it and also get all the chlorine naturally out of the tap water that was put in there. And then we also treated it with this stress coat here. Find the directions on the back of the bottle, but it makes tap water safe for fish. And again, we did not have fish in here, so we bought these guys here. They're just some goldfish, but they're pretty colorful. Instead of spending the money on koi, goldfish is a relative of the koi fish. So anyway, these guys cost about, I don't know, 40 cents a piece. We got 6 of them in there. So anyway, we are going to acclimate them into the pond. And the other thing you want to do too is if you happen to have fish that you put into this larger bucket earlier when you cleaned your pond, obviously you're going to have to try to maintain the fish in there for the few days while you're trying to rebalance the pond for the 2 to 3 days. So is what I like to do. I'm just going to show you on a smaller example here, but I've done this in the past when we did have fish. This is just a smaller bucket for an example, but I have this little bubbler, and you can get it just at Walmart, at fishing stores, and it's really just for bait fish, to keep the bait fish water bubbling, but I just use this when I'm switching. So it's just battery operated, and then you're just going to turn it on, and you'll be able to see how it simply you just kind of hook it on the edge of the can or whatever, but it bubbles and aerates the water while you're cleaning your pond. So if you have fish, whatever size bucket you keep them in, this just kind of gets them some aerated water, and they like to come up by the bubbles, and they do fine for a few days in here. So keep that in mind, and then make sure you would treat your pond, or at least let it set for 3 days, or put the stress coat in there before you're going to put your fish in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the fish into the pond now that we have the water balanced, and we're just going to let them sit in there for a few minutes and kind of get the water temperature from their water and the pond kind of balanced out, evened out, so it's not such a shock when we pour them into the pond. Alright, now we've had the fish sitting in here for 15-20 minutes. Now we're just going to really slowly let the fish swim out there on their own. Then when we do the pond, we put these little rocks. You can kind of see we made like little shelves in there so the fish can go under there. It's a nice way to protect them from birds or other animals that might get in your yard. Water's running off the rock nice. Got it all cleaned out. Fish are in there exploring their new home, figuring out where they can hide, where they can swim. See, they're swimming kind of like in a little school as of now. Kind of cute. Jumping up and getting some of that food. And we hope you enjoyed this video today. Thanks for coming along with us, and we'll see you in the next one.